Today we're going to fill out our multi-step with equations with distribution notes. Your page looks like this, and we'll start up at the top, reviewing the distributive property. The distributive property is when you multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses to both terms on the inside of the parentheses. So taking our first example, we have 5 times 4x would give us 20x minus 5 times 3 equals 15. We box our answer to make our sweet teacher happy. Moving on to the next one, we have negative 7 times negative 8. Negative times a negative is a positive 56. Negative 7 times 6y would give us a negative 42y. This is looking a little clunky to me. With adding a negative, I still have my parentheses to separate the signs. Isn't adding a negative the same as just subtracting? So to simplify this, we can either skip that step or write it and leave it, whatever helps you and makes the most sense to you. Moving on to the third example. There's just a negative sign out front. What are we supposed to do with that? The one time mathematicians get lazy is with writing ones. So there's really a 1 out here. So negative 1 times 12 is a negative 12 minus negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. Once again, this is looking a little clunky with two negatives. Subtracting a negative are parentheses. So we can rewrite it. We all know that taking away a negative, subtracting a negative, is the same as adding a positive. So we box in our answer. If going forward you want to skip this step, you can. It's whatever helps you understand the process best. All right. Of course, you knew that distribution in solving equations was going to come next. So let's review how we solve multi-step equations with distribution. First, you distribute if necessary. Second, you're going to combine like terms only on the same side of the equation. Decide what operations are happening to the variable. Use SADMEG, and of course, box your answer. All right, first example. Let's distribute our negative 8 to negative 3 and 6. Negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24. Negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. If you chose to write plus negative 48, that's okay. It simplifies down to minus 48. Using SADMEG, subtraction is our first choice. So we do have subtraction. So to undo subtracting, we add the same number, of course, to both sides. On the right, negative 48 plus 48 reduces to 0, so we're left with 24x. On the right and on the left, 72. Our final step here is to undo multiplying x by 24. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. I'm going to divide the right side by 24 and the left side by 24. The right side reduces to 1x, of course. They get lazy and don't write the 1. That is just fine. And 72 divided by 24 is 3. Once again, I box my answer to make it easy to find. Let's move on to the next one. Negative, and then in parentheses, g minus 7. What number is missing there? It's our 1. So I'm going to distribute my negative 1 to both g and negative 7, or minus 7. So I have negative 1g plus 7, because negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. And we still have negative 19 on the right. First step we're going to do is subtract 7 from both sides. That will undo adding 7 over on the left. We'll be left with just negative 1g. And over on the right, we have negative 26. Now, why did I leave the 1 here When I say it's okay to drop the 1, we don't like writing 1s. I like to keep it here just because it helps us remember what we're supposed to do next, this last step. In order to get G all by itself, isolated on the left side, we're going to have to divide by its coefficient, divide by what number's out in front. And if I don't write the 1, I'm not going to know what number it is. So let's divide both sides by -1. Reduces to 1G on the left. Now I can drop the 1. I don't need to write it. And -26 divided by -1 is just 26. I box my answer to make my dear sweet teacher happy. Last one. This is the grand finale. We're going to have everything put together from last lesson and this lesson. First, I see distributive property. So I'm going to distribute my 4 to my 4p and my 3. I have then 16p minus 12. The remainder of the equation stays the same up until now. My next step is to combine like terms. 16p minus 4p. Remember to circle the operation out in front. We get 12p. If I then go ahead and box in my constants, I get -28. That equals 8. We're almost done. Hang in there. This is a long problem. To undo subtracting 28, we're going to add 28. I got ahead of myself. We're going to add 28 to both sides. It reduces down to 0 on the left. We're just left with 12p. And on the right, we have 36. And the last step, divide both sides by 12 to undo multiplying by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1, so we have 1p equals 3, because 36 divided by 12 is 3. And of course, I have to say, please box your answer so we can find the answer to all the hard work you've done. Next, when we meet in class, you will do the you do problems with your classmates.